Hello, welcome. Hello. We are live. My name is Chris, and tonight we are going to paint Little Lamb in watercolor together. Let me know in the chat maybe where you're from, maybe if you've painted with me before, what paintings you've done with me in the past. Any other tidbits of information? Maybe it's your birthday this weekend. Or maybe there is a youngster painting along with you. I love when young people paint along with me. I am from London, Ontario in Canada. Let me know where you guys are from. And in a moment, we'll get started. I'll go over the supplies. And even though this is live, you are still able to pause and rewind. You could set the playback backwards and hear something again, see something again, or have a bit more time. You can press pause at any point. And maybe you're not going to be painting along with me today. Maybe you're just watching. This video will be available on our page, on our channel here, forever. So you could do this weekend. You could do this later on this spring or in the summer. Or maybe you're watching from the future and maybe it's next Easter that you do this one. All right. Yeah, a few people have logged in. Let's go over the supplies. You can kind of see everything on the screen already, but I'll go over them. So if you did sign up on our website with your free ticket, you would have gotten the printable, traceable outline sent to you of the lamb and the chick to pre-sketch. So there's several ways to get this image onto your paper. What I like to do, and what I did do, I took this printout, I put it on the back of my paper, tape it, and then hold that up against a bright sunny window, and then take a pencil, an eraser, lightly trace that up against the window. Or if you have a tracing table or a light table, that is a perfect way to do that. Or maybe you have carbon paper or tracing paper. Or what if you just want to freehand sketch it? You can have this as your reference and just sketch it by hand onto your paper. That would work too. So I have put the link to this outline down below, down in the description down here. So if you're watching this in the future and you're wondering, oh, how am I going to get that email with the printable traceable outline? It's right down here in the description for the rest of time. So I've already put that on my paper, and there it is, kind of light. The paper that you want is watercolor paper, any brand, any size. So here I have Canson XL watercolor paper. I use this one a lot. I always say it's a medium quality for a medium price. So not too expensive and not too cheap. It's a good, reliable brand, and it's available in so many places. So many craft stores, even Walmart will often carry this brand. All right, so we've got our paper. Let's put this over here. We will need some watercolors. So this is the set that I have, a nice little travel tin. It is by Mei Liang on Amazon, and I've added some new stickers recently to kind of snazz it up. But if you don't have like this many colors, it's okay. You can make your own colors. So let's say I'm using like a yellowy green later on, and you don't have a yellow green, you have yellow, you have green. Just mix them together in the lid or on a plate or on a palette. You can make any colors. So let's say I'm talking about a purpley red later on. Just mix your purple, mix your red together and make any shades you want. So it doesn't have to be this many colors. I've got a few paintbrushes here. I just grabbed a little random bunch here. You could do this whole painting with just like one paintbrush, as long as that paintbrush that you have has like a pointy tip. I just grabbed sort of a big, a medium, and a small. There's so many different brands out there with different sizes and numbers, so I'm not even going to mention the numbers or the brands. Just something sort of big, medium, small. But really, you could do this whole thing with just like one paintbrush. That's okay. I've got a bit of paper towel and my water for the watercolors. And optional, I grabbed a bit of white acrylic paint. This is just from the dollar store, nothing fancy. Something white and opaque. I'm just going to add these kind of little dotties throughout, highlights on the eyes, little eye highlight there, but that's optional. If you don't have a white acrylic, maybe you have a white paint pen, like a Posca paint pen, or even white out, that could work. Or there's a product called Bleed Proof White, that could work. Just something opaque, because the white of watercolor, I do have a white watercolor, but that's see-through. We don't want see-through, we want it to stand out. So that's optional, and I think that's it for supplies. So let's go ahead and get started, and even if people join a little bit later, they can always set the playback back and watch from the beginning. All right, let's put you right there. Let's get some, let's see. And like, you don't have to use the exact paintbrush that I'm using, especially if your paper, your design is smaller. Maybe you're doing a little mini version for a greeting card. So like, just because I'm going to grab my big paintbrush doesn't mean that you have to grab like a giant massive paintbrush if your design's smaller. Maybe you grab your medium brush. I'm going to use this big paintbrush to fill in the lamb, and yeah, we'll do the chick too with just water. Just water to start, clear water. So I tap it off. I don't want it like drenched. And I'm just going to put a layer of water on my lamb and my chick. And some pencils sometimes smudge with the water. That's okay, because maybe if you get a little gray on your lamb, that's like free shading. That's fine. So I'm trying to stay in the lines, but if you've been painting with me before, you know that I don't always stay in the lines. And that's okay. I'm going to mostly stay inside the lines of the lamb with a thin coat of water. Let's get up here in his little face. If you're having trouble seeing where you've already put water and where you don't have any water, just put your head on an angle. Look at your paper from an angle, and you'll see that shininess of the water. Or just kind of keep track in your head where you've already put the water. Okay, so yeah, if I look, I'm looking at an angle, or even if I kind of, oh yeah, if you have a bright light, you can kind of see that gloss in the bright light. I'm going to put some on my chick, my little chick. And keep in mind, you can paint this any colors you want. You don't have to do the exact colors that I'm about to do. Anything goes. Okay, so I've got my chickie's got a little water on her too. You can, oh, there we go. There's a good glossy reflection there. I'm going to switch brushes. I'm going to go for maybe a medium or a small, nothing too giant. Now, if you look at this, my lamb is mostly white, but there's some unusual colors on the lamb. There's purple, There's orange, there's a bit of yellow, and then there's also some splashes that landed on there accidentally on purpose. So your lamb doesn't have to be white. You could choose any colors you want. I'm going to get a little sort of a light orange. So if you have, like, I have a lot of oranges, pick one of the lighter ones. If you don't have various oranges in your lid or on a plate, mix some yellow with like a little smidge of darker orange and get sort of a light orange. And you don't need a lot. So I got my brush wet. I got my little pan wet. Get a little on the brush. And I'm going to put my orange sort of where the sun might be shining on my lamb. So what if the sun was shining and hitting a little bit of his head, like the forehead, or maybe a little bit of the ear? And it's very light, very pale, and it's spreading. See how it's spread in the wet water? We want that. We like that. Here's a little bit of orange on this ear. Picture the sun shining down. So the top of the ears, top of the head. See how it's moving? It's spreading down. That's good. The top of the back, a little bit on the back here. And everyone's paint will behave differently. It might not spread as much, and that's fine. And my paper is already sort of bending because we put a bunch of water on it. So my paper is kind of bumpy, but when it dries, it'll flatten out a little bit better. And you can flatten it in a book later. So a little very pale orange, top of the head, a little bit on the back. You could even just get water on your brush and kind of blur it, blend it out, make it even softer with more water. What about a teeny bit on maybe like the nose? Like the nose would kind of stick out and maybe some of this lovely sunshine would land on the nose, kind of in there. Where else might the sun shine? Maybe a tiny bit on the legs. So his legs are kind of out in the sun. So maybe along the top edge of this leg, maybe the top edge of this leg. And like some of my water is drying up a little bit. This leg is drier. This leg is wetter. So this orange kind of spread upwards and downwards. This one's kind of staying put. So I might get a little more water, a little bit, and then kind of blur it, dampen it, spread it around. It's okay that this bled upwards. That's fine too. Where else would a little orange like to go? I'm just looking at this one. I mean, I don't even have to look at that. I can just make my own decisions. This one's going to turn out different than that one. Yours at home is going to be different from mine. I think that's good on the orange for now. Let's get a little purple going, or a different color. I'm going to do purple. There's various purples here. What would I like? A little bit, tiny bit of purple here. Let's go, I'm going to go purple on like the shoulder. Is this a shoulder? Ooh, that's a little too dark, but that's a good example of like, you know, too dark. My paper's too dry. I just rinsed that right out. Now there's just water on my brush. Let's just blur that. Spread it out, get more water. Make it soft. There we go. That little mistake, that little happy accident is okay. So there's some purple down his shoulder, would you say? Or like a bit of the neck. I guess that could be neck too. Where else could I want some purple? And my lamb is starting to get a little dry. So maybe I'm going to wet. I'm going to wet right in here. Between sort of his thigh and his, elbow. Going to get a little bit more purple right in there. And again, if it's like too dark, just get water right away and kind of soften it, blur it. Your brush can also suck up some paint too. So if you dry off your brush, dry, and then you dab, it'll remove, it'll take away if it went, a little too dark, but very soft. We're going for like a light colored lamb. He's still mostly white. Where else? Maybe a little on, maybe like inner ear. So we've got some orange on the ear. I'm going to put a little water back inside the ear because it's gotten quite dry while I've been chatting. Tiny bit of purple. Sort of the inside of the ear. A little bit. Teeny tiny little bit. Ooh. See, again, I did it too much. I wipe off my brush. I can soak up some of that. Dilute it with more water. Soft, soft, soft. Look how soft that is. Where else do I want a little more? And you can even go back, get some water, soften and blur after a few minutes. Where else? Maybe like the underside of the leg. We've got like orange on the top, maybe a little light purple on the underside. Maybe get a little water. Because again, it's drying so quickly. I also have like many lights pointed at this. I got like 3 lights. That might be contributing. Get a tiny bit on the underside. And I've already gone outside of the line so many times. And that's okay. I've gone outside the line here and here and here and here and here. That's okay. Where else do I want purple? I think I'm good for now. See, it's very pale and it's going to dry even paler, even lighter. But that's okay. This is just the first layer. Let's look at our chicky chick. I mean, we did paint it with water, but that water's mostly dried up. I'll give it a little splash more water here. I mean, chicks are generally yellow, but if you wanted like a pink chick or an orange chick or a green chick, you could do that. I'm going to do a very pale, pale yellow. I've got several yellows to choose from. I'm going to go with this one, sort of a cad yellow, light yellow. I'm going to paint my whole chick a very light yellow. Super light yellow. Lots of water. Very see-through, pale yellow. And yeah, get his legs, pale yellow. Some of my chick's legs are orange because some of that orange of the head kind of bled up into the legs. Orange legs, yellow legs, whatever. It's all good. So my chick is super pale yellow. The palest, and it's going to dry even lighter. Lovely. And as these different sections dry, you might notice some blooms, some shapes, some hard edges forming. That's okay. It's part of watercolor. It doesn't always dry evenly. If there's some darker patches, some lighter patches, some shapes. If you look at this one, here's what I mean by like a bloom, this interesting edged shape. That's okay. We like those. Here's some more over here. Like, I didn't mean to have that happen, but it happened. Here's some more in here. Yeah, so if you have, hard edges within your lamb, it's okay. All right. Very cute. Where else would I like? I think I might do a little orange on his cheek. His little cheek is a little naked. I kind of ignored that little cheek. Get the tiniest bit of orange. There, now he's got like a little orange blush. What else could be cute? Maybe a little pink. I might throw a little pink in here. Get the tiniest bit of pink. What about pink, like a pink rosy cheek? I'm going to do, that's too dark. That's way too dark. Rinse that off. There's a little pink on his cheek. And some of the purple got in there too. What else would be nice? Maybe a little yellow. We did an orange. I might get a little bit of pale yellow. Watery. Maybe sort of his butt. Would you call this his butt? And what would you call this? Like thigh. Maybe we'll put a little on his thigh. But again, that's way too dark. I'm going to get water and kind of blur it. Wipe some away. Where else would a little yellow be nice? Maybe a teeny bit of yellow on maybe his forehead or nose. Maybe the light is more intense right in here. Like a little splash of yellow. But again, I'm going to blur it. I'm going to water it down, spread it out. I think that's nice. Like, can you imagine the sun coming in, getting him right in the forehead? That's cute. Okay, let's let that dry a little bit. Let's talk about what we're going to do in the background. So at a glance, it looks like maybe he's amongst some bushes. There's some flowers, grasses, maybe these are like branches of like pussy willow with the white dots. At a glance, is what it looks like, but if you look up close, it's just blobs and patches to make it look like something. It's really abstract. It's got all kinds of colors that are blending into each other. You can choose your favorite colors to do instead of the colors that I'm about to do. What if your favorite flowers are poppies and you just want to have red flowers surrounding him? Poppies, beautiful reds and oranges. You could totally do that. Change up the colors. The purple kind of reminds me of irises. Irises are quite an early flower, one of the first to pop out, so that would make sense. Yeah, any colors at all in the background, in the flowers, in the lamb. So we're going to blob around some pale colors, not the flowers. So we're talking about like the patches in the background. So here's like a little patch of like pinky red. Here's kind of a yellowy green. Here's some green, bit of blue. I did blue around the chick to make him like stand out more. And maybe it's like the sky, could be the sky. Because if I had, say, like this yellowy green behind the chick, he wouldn't pop out as much. So blue around the chick, maybe purple around the chick, just so that he's more distinct. I've got some green, I've got orange, I've got some red over here. Any colors that you want. And we're going to do it pretty watery, pretty pale. And colors can touch each other for sure and bleed into each other. Definitely. We encourage that. We like that. I'm going to I'll probably use my big brush. But again, if you want to use a medium, if that works better for you for the size you're doing. I like to start with light colors first. Let's start with a yellow, or if you don't want to do yellow, do like maybe a light orange or a pink, something light. And I like to, bring some of that to my lid, get a little more water. Watery is the name of the game, watercolors. So maybe I want to do a patch of yellow here, but it could be any shape, any amount. It just needs to be pretty pale. And there could be gaps in it. It doesn't have to be fully filled in. And if I'm getting close to an area where there's wet paint, you can either leave a little gap, like a white gap, and not let the two wet colors touch, or don't worry about it. Let the yellow and the purple touch and have them bleed a little bit into each other. That's fine. So a little of my purple lamb is now on my yellow background. I don't care. Couldn't care. There's a patch of yellow. Do you want it to go sort of all the way to the edge? Do you want it to stay pretty tight to the subject? I kind of like filling in a lot of this empty negative space. If you have a lot of space, why not go big? Go big over here, fill up that negative space, or keep it nice and tight. So there's some yellow, super pale. Look how pale that is. Maybe a little bit more. Dab, dab, dab. And there could be patches that are slightly darker, slightly lighter. Blah, blah, blah. Good. Let's work pretty quickly so that our colors can blend into each other. I got a little bit of pink on my brush. Blob some around here by his sort of front hoof. 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 I'm not sure. Bit of pink. As far out as you want to go, as far up or down as you want to go. I'm going to go to about here. And some of the pink and yellow are touching. And it's kind of making like an orangey color. Bonus color. There we go. Still very pale, very watery. Let's still work fairly quickly so that they can blend and touch. I'm going to get a light green or whatever color you want to do next. I'm going to go a little bit here by my yellow. Some of the green can go on the yellow. Do I want to have a little dark green too? Let's get a little dark green. Ooh, I got two colors in one going on here. Dab those together. Blah, blah, blah. Yep, these are all blending and moving. My paper is kind of bending upwards from all the water. Let's do like a pale blue. Pale blue. Yeah, that's a nice pale blue. If you need to switch to a smaller brush to kind of get in some smaller areas, definitely switch up your brush. Going around my chickie. My chick's pretty dry, so he's not going to bleed too much. There's some blue near my chick, but any color is good. Yeah, I've got some white gaps here and there. Everything's still very pale, super pale, 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 pale. What did I do? Maybe a little orange or something. Oh, that's a little dark. Again, if you go a little dark, get some water, dilute it, blend it, soften it. Maybe some of this blue and orange touch and make a new color. It makes kind of a greenish color here. Even if it makes sort of like a brown, that's okay. There's brown in meadows, in bushes. You can have brown in your painting. There's some orange. What else? Maybe red, purple. Let's go. I'm gonna go dark green. Oh, that's too dark. Dab, dab, dab. And like when my paper is kind of bowing like crazy, it's kind of bumping way up. I just sometimes pick it up and bend it to my will, bend it back. And paint is starting to like flow and move. You could even pick this up and tilt it around. There's green. I'm going to do a little red. A little red is nice. Ooh, again, Chris, what are you doing? Too dark. A little red. Maybe till about there. Doesn't really have to end in any particular spot. That's good. Bend it to my will. And I've had some accidental drips as I went along. There's a drippy there. There's a drippy on there. And it's okay. That's fine. All right. I do want to, I'm going to grab either a small or a medium brush, something with a pointy tip. A pointy tipped something. I want some like grassy look. So there's no paint on this. It could just be like kind of damp, and you kind of drag some of your wet paint kind of up like grass. Drag it up, up, up. And I'm not even getting any paint on my brush right now. I'm just kind of dragging it up. And like if the colors kind of accidentally touch and go into each other, that's fine. That's fine. I'm just going to flick some grassy things up. Now my pink here is all kind of dried up. I'm going to add a little bit more wet pink over here because it got dry really fast. Flick, 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 just for some more texture. My yellow is also a little dry. I'm going to put some yellow back in here. Flick some grassiness up and out. Yeah, so some of my yellow was on the brush, and then I flicked it over here, and there's some yellow in amongst the pink. That's okay. There's some green in my orange. There's some orange in my blue. That's okay. Flick, flick, flick. As much or as little as you like. You don't have to do as much as I am. I kind of am like purposefully getting like a little red on my brush, and then maybe I flick a little red in the orange, like doing it on purpose. Get a little green, put that in the pink. Like there's some blue on my brush. Ooh, I went in the pink. But everything's still super duper pale. The name of the game is texture. We just want lots of layers giving us lovely texture. Look at that. Very pale. Now it doesn't look amazing right now. It's kind of at that in-between stage where you might start to feel discouraged and you're just like, mine doesn't look like hers. It's not good. I'm going to give up. Don't give up. This is that middle kind of awkward teenage stage. It's going to get better. It will get better. How is my little lamb? My lamb is getting lovely and dry. That's good. Lovely. Because we can work on the lamb while the outside is drying. And then while the lamb is drying, we can work on the outside. That's how this works. Let's see. Before I do the lamb, I think I want to put a little green as if he's on grass down here. Very pale green. Let's do a little pale green below him. Whatever green you have, that's a nice springy green. But pale, pale, pale. Let's go right under here. Yeah. I might put some green down and then get more water and dilute it even more. It doesn't have to be like straight across. It could be little patches and blobs and little groups of green. That is a little little dark. I'm going to get water on the brush now and dilute it, blend it, soften it. Any shade of green. There's gappies, there's blobs everywhere. Yeah, mine's all messy. Yours could also be messy. Yeah, that's good. And like he doesn't really have a back leg. It's just going to kind of get taken over by like foliage and grass. So don't worry about, you know, leaving room for a back leg. We're going to cover that up. That's lovely. All right, well, we'll let the background dry a little bit. We're going to add some darker tones to our lamb. He is very pale right now, but we want it to be a little bit more pronounced. So in amongst, let's say, this purple area, maybe we'll add some purpley bluey, a little darker on the like head where there's like, you know, the sun is shining, maybe some stronger orange or some stronger yellow. If you've got completely different colors, maybe you went with pink and green or something, just use darker versions of the colors that you chose. Darker versions. And we're not going to, you know, cover the whole thing in water again. We don't want it to bleed as much now. So we're gonna want our colors to stay put. All right, let me think here. I'm gonna do some stronger oranges first. So I'm still gonna use like the same color orange that I used before. I'm just not gonna add as much water. It's still watery, but it's more concentrated. All right, I'm going to put some more concentrated orange on his head. So we're picturing the sun is shining. It's going to hit his forehead, kind of brow area, right? Just a little patch there. Where else might it hit? Maybe a little bit like on the very top of his ear, that edge on both ears, maybe a little smidge there. And this doesn't have to be tidy. It could be messy. It doesn't have to be a perfect line. Maybe a little patch on his nose, because you're picturing the sun landing on the nose and the nose is sticking out. Maybe like there. And it's not any particular shape. It's just like a blob. What about along his back here, his little back? And as I go along his back, I'm picturing that he is woolly, he's fleecy. So I'm going to make little bumps and squiggles and blobs because I'm picturing it is wool. So little dabs and jabs to make him start to seem a little bit fleecy. Even on the head, I could do little blobs and dabs. Where else? A little on the front leg. Little bit right there. Top of that leg. Little dabs. Top of this leg. Little dabs. Doesn't have to be orange. Could be yellow. That's good. Those are like the highlights. I'm going to do a little on sort of his other eyebrow, if you could call it that. A little bit of orange on this second eyebrow. Just that zone. Little dabs, little blobs. He's looking kind of weird right now. You gotta push through that. You gotta paint right through it. He looks like he's got big, like Groucho Marx eyebrows or something. He's gonna look cute, don't worry. what about, I might do a little yellowy on that, what do we call this, the thigh. A little bit of yellow blobs and dabs here, or it could be orange. Maybe a little yellow on the nose, a little bit of yellow. That's pretty good. All right, so that's where the sun is shining on him. Let's get like a purpley bluey color for his sort of shaded areas. So I've got that purple from before. I'm gonna put some in the lid here. Maybe a little blue mixed into it. See what that looks like. A little blue, mix them together. Let's see what that looks like. Pretty dark. I want it a little waterier. That's pretty good. So I'm going to dab sort of fleecy texture along the, what do we call this? The neck and the shoulder area, along the right side of his body here. Little dabs, little squiggles. And then I want this, the chest, this is his chest, to be more pronounced. So I'm going to come down and make it like a V. Because this is like his, the front of him, the chest, and he's kind of turning his head that way. So some little dabs here, that'll kind of emphasize this chest. Dabs and blobs. And anywhere else that you would think it would be a little bit shady, like the bottoms of the legs, right? So we've got the orange on the top of the leg, but the bottom of the leg would be a little darker, right along there. Yeah, some of my green is still wet and it's mixing with my purpley blue. That's okay. I don't mind. That's all right. And sort of in that kind of area between the thigh and the elbow here, that would be a little darker. So let's dab in some darkness in here, where the sun don't shine, right in there. Right in there. Where else would he not have sun shining on him? I'm thinking like under his chin, right? The sun is coming this way. So under the chin side of the face here would probably be darker, right under here. And I'm still doing little dabs, little squiggles. It's going to give him a fleecy feel right along the chin, jaw, cheek area, right along there, darker. What about like inner ear? Inner ear. So right in here, maybe even a few like longer brush strokes, like ear hair. I think lambs would also have ear hair. I think all mammals have ear hair, right? I think that's to filter dust and stuff from your ears, protect your ears, ear hairs. Nothing wrong with ear hair. A little bit in there. And he looks kind of psychedelic right now with the orange, with the purple. And you're like, what kind of a lamb is this? It's a Kristen lamb in Kristen's world. Where else would I like purple? Purpley blue. I think I like what I've got right now. Yeah. Yep, I'm happy with that. Hello to Michelle, and Rainey says this is so cute. Well, thank you. Wait till we do the chicken, a little chickie here. All right, so let's let those bits dry. Let's get a little more shading on our chicken. Our chicken is yellow, but like the lamb, we don't have to shade it realistically. I'm gonna do, let's see, maybe a light bluey. Yeah, it doesn't have to be like a normal chicken color. What do I have? I've got some blue here. I've got that purple. Let's get some of this blue. It could be green. Get a little blue going. Still pale, still pretty pale. The like underside, again, we're thinking the sun is shining on the chick. He's got a fluffy, puffy chest, but under here would be less sun. So you could put like a little bit of blue or green or maybe orange or brown. I'm going to do a little bit of blue, and it's just blobby. It's not perfect. Very pale blue. Pale, pale, pale. What if I got a little, I want to see what green looks like. Going to get a little green. Watery, still watery. A little bit. So the chicken's head, again, the sun is shining. So maybe the chicken's jawline and the chicken's right side of the face, a little darker. But that's a lot of paint there. Let me soak up some of that. Just a little bit of pale something. So I chose a little pale green, but you could choose a different pale color. And I might do some on this little wing too. So this wing, I'm just going to put some dabs and blobs. It doesn't have to be full coverage, just to darken it a little. And it looks a little crazy right now. That's okay. I'm also going to put a little bit darker, like his chest, like under the chin, because probably the face would be casting a shadow on his own chest. So a little couple of dabs on his chest. It almost looks like he's wearing a kerchief, or it's a beard. Something a little darker. So I used a very light green. You could do light orange, light pink, just something light. I do want to add a little bit more yellow to him. So he's pretty pale yellow right now. I'm going to get a little bit of yellow, a little bit stronger. I'm thinking about where the sun would land. His chest, his top of his head might be yellower, brighter yellow on this top of his head. Chest, a little bit yellower. Put a little yellow on my legs are pretty pale. Keep your legs pretty darn pale. And well, let's leave it at that. We'll let that dry. And it's okay if maybe some blue and green touched and mixed, or if some green and yellow touched and mixed. I've got yellow into the green right there. I'm not worried. That's fine. Beauty. So let's let the lamb dry and the chick dry with the second coat before we go for a third coat. The background has been drying in the meantime, and there's all kinds of weird shapes that are forming. You know, you might think, oh, that's a mistake. It's like a weird blob there. See that hard edge? No, it's okay. It's going to be fine. We're going to add a second layer in our background. Pale blobs that could be mistaken for flowers. So not like our darkest flower blobs, and they don't have to look like real flowers. They could literally just be blobs. And sort of like darker than this, but not the darkest. So like still pretty pale. let's go with, I'm going to start with maybe some blue. Sure. People like blue flowers. Let's get a little blue going. And I sort of clumped up little patches of flowers. Here's some purple, here's some yellow, here's some orange, here's some blue. But if you want a more scattered flower patches, you can definitely do that. I'm going to do some blue. Well, that's pretty dark. Pretty dark. Blue patches, they could be small, one dab. It could be multiple dabs. And none of these blobs actually look like a flower per se, but the effect in the end will be flower-like. Do some big ones, do some small ones. They can definitely be like near each other. They don't have to all be separated from each other. Anywhere. Could be over here by the lamb. Could be out in the air here, out in the middle of nowhere. Why not? It could be just one dab. You could just do one dab. Mine are all different. Some chunky ones, some lighter ones, darker ones. They could be low to the ground. They could be up high. Yeah, I kind of like, got kind of a little nice grouping of blue there. Let's do something different. I've got sort of oranges here. I'll do like a pale watery orange here. Again, it could be just one single dab, or it could be like a little clump of dabs. And if you wanted to make some that look more like flowers, you can. You can have, you know, kind of that shape. It doesn't have to all be blobs. You can have actual starting to look like a flower little shape. Could that be like a orange tiger lily? Could be. They don't all have to be shapeless blobs. But shapeless blobs are easy. And of course, they could be, you know, some orange in amongst the blue, some blue in amongst the orange. Wildflowers don't really keep to their own areas. Okay, I like that amount. I'm going to keep sort of my flowers in this zone here and this zone here because they're, you know, they're growing out of the ground. There wouldn't be maybe too many up here. So I'm going to have a little patch here, a little patch here. Purple. Purple's a lovely color. I've got some purple right here. Blobs and dabs. When I do just like one single, like one dab, just like that, I'm picturing it's like a closed up bud. It hasn't opened, it hasn't blossomed. That's what I'm picturing when I just do one little stab, one jab. Where else? Maybe some down here by his butt. Yeah, keep it random. Don't have them all perfectly evenly spaced and they're all the exact same size. Random, random, random. Do I want more? That's a good amount. I think I'm ending up doing more than I did on the first one because I'm just having so much fun making the blobs and the dabs. Let's get some yellow. And the yellow might not show up as well as the other colors because we've got yellow against, in my case, red. But I think it still adds a nice brightness over here. Dab, dab, dab. A few more. There could be some yellow amongst the purples. I might do a few purples amongst the yellows. Yeah. We're getting there. We're building it up layer by layer. And the end is where we'll have those really strong colors that'll make it just pop right off the page. Nancy says, beautiful, great job. Thank you, Nancy. I hope that several people are painting along with me, but you certainly can be just viewing today. All right, how's my Lammy? Lammy's doing good. He's quite dry. Yeah, he's getting there. Even if your Lammy has a couple little dampy patches, we can still go ahead with that in a moment. What do I want to do in the background before we go back to the lamb? I'm thinking some like pale stems, branches, pale grasses. So light green, medium green, maybe even brown. Stems could be orange. You could do orange stems. You could have purple stems. There's no set rules. What brush would I like to use? I do love the pointy tip of this medium, but if you have a smaller brush with a good pointy tip, you can use that. But I think I'll stick with my medium because look at that nice pointy tip. Let's get a few stems going. And even if, like when you're making some stems and maybe some of the orange or the blue gets into the stem color, that's okay. Because if you look at mine, here's an orange stem. Like it works. It works. The accidental colors. Let's get a little green. Again, pretty pale, very watery, not too strong. Let's see, make a few here. And they don't even have to really be attached to anything, really. You could just boop, put a stem in here, put a few brush strokes up, up, up. Some of my green is getting into my orange. That's okay. You could cut right through a flower if you want. That's fine. They can overlap. Nice and light, nice and pale. Yeah, they can certainly crisscross. They could even go on the lamb a little bit. That's all right. On the ear. If it goes accidentally on his leg, that's fine. Yeah. So that's like kind of pale green, but what if I want to be wild? I'm going to get some purple. Ooh. Purple stems. Look at that. There we go. So there's some purple in amongst the green. That's allowed. You can do that. What about, I'm going to go over here and get some stems going here. First, I'll do some green. Light touch, wispy. And they don't have to be straight. Curve them, bend them. There's so many stems out there. Gnarly ones, wavy ones. There's some green. What if I'm wild and I think about some blue? I'm going to do some blue stems because I'm a wild girl. Some of my stems go up like above my flowers. Yeah, Some of my blue and purple have bled into the yellow. It's making a whole new color. What's going on over here? We got some different things happening there. That's okay. Look at that. It's starting to get filled in. I'm going to do a few green kind of up here, as if maybe there's like a bush or like a small tree sapling. Green, or could be like a light brown. Some taller stuff up here. Maybe it has a branch, so whoop, there's a branch on that one. Could be into this kind of blue patch here, so maybe it's like branches reaching up into the sky, but very pale, very wispy. As many or as few as you like. Maybe this is like a dense thicket. Maybe it's more of an open meadow and there's fewer. And still pretty pale, pretty pale. What if some of these, or some of these down here, these stems had little baby leaves on them? I've got my medium brush still. It has a nice pointy tip, or use a smaller brush. Maybe there's a couple flicks of a leaf, so just kind of press and flick, press, flick, flick, flick. It could be a little clump of leaves. It could be a single leaf. Anywhere you want. It could be just like a leaf in the middle of nowhere. Just, there we go. In the sky, there's a leaf. Oh, here's one here. It doesn't matter that it's not attached to anything. Do some different colors. Do some blue. Do some purple. And these are going to dry pretty light too. So they'd seem kind of dark right now. They're going to dry pretty light. Anywhere in the lower stems and these upper branches, it could be like a whole branch. Look at that. I did a whole series all lined up. Could be a little clump. Could be different directions. They could be facing that way, this way, down. Anything goes. You could even just drop your paintbrush and see what happens. Look. Oops. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter that I had this glob here and then it flicked a little bit here. It works. Oh yeah, this is giving me major spring vibes. I hope wherever you guys are from, you have gorgeous weather for the long weekend. I looked at the forecast here in London. It's going to be about 10 degrees all weekend. So I'm not complaining. There is no S word in the forecast. You know the S word that I mean. We're not going to say it. You know, the white stuff. None of that. We don't want any of that. There's some leaves. You could have more, you could have less. You can have ones out in the middle of nowhere. Here we go. There's some leaves just hanging out in the sky there. And you be the judge how many you want. Do I want a few more? There could be big ones, there could be dark ones. Press sort of harder for a bigger one. Dab aggressively. What about different color? Why am I just doing one color green? What am I doing? Different greens. Oh, whole new world has opened up to me. I could do this. I could keep adding leaves for 20 more minutes, but I'm not gonna. You could add leaves to your heart's content. Green. Ooh, yellow. Get some yellow leaves in there. A few more. I think I like the amount. Sometimes I pick up my painting and I hold it away from you and think to yourself, do I need more dark over here, more light over here? Get a different perspective. Maybe hold it to the side. Maybe stand up and look at it from afar. I think I'm good with that for now. We can always add more later. Let's let that dry a little bit. Before we get to some more details on our lamb, I would love to share with you some upcoming events with me, Chris. I've got a couple to show you here. So this is going to be fun. So April 11th is when we're going to do this one. Maybe you've heard of this before, maybe not. Maybe this is brand new information to you. You can paint with tea. Yes, that's right, tea that you drink. So here's an example. We're going to paint this. It's going to be a video premiere. The video will be released April 11th. That's a Thursday. And tickets are on the website. This is painted with black cherry tea. Now, on the camera, it looks kind of washed out, a little grayed out. But in real life, me looking at it right here, it's this gorgeous purple. But I don't think the camera does it justice at all. It's a warmer purple than the camera shows. And yeah, we do the drawing together in pen, and you will get an outline for that, and then paint it with tea. I'll show you the tea that I used. I like this one a lot. So it's Celestial Seasonings. This is like the variety pack with 5 different fruit teas, but the one we're looking for right here, where we go, black cherry berry. There is like a box of just this tea, but this kind of fruit sampler has the black cherry berry in it, and I use this tea, and I've done numerous tea paintings and coffee. You can also paint with coffee. So that will be released April 11th. You get a ticket on our website, artistpaletterham.com. Buy your ticket, and then on April 11th, I release the video, and you paint on your own time from home, and we do that together. You do get an outline. So similar to how you got an outline for this one today, you're going to get a Cheshire Cat outline. So this one's called, I'm pretty sure I called it Black Cherry Cheshire, because that's what it is. There we go. So that one's coming up April 11th. And I want to show you, I'm going to show you this one here. This one's mixed media. This one is also going to be a video premiere. The video will be released April 25th. Tickets on the website. So this one is mixed media. It is fabric paint and watercolors. In this case, I did it on a canvas, little canvas here, but you could do that on paper. And the effect is stained glass like. The fabric paint, you can kind of tell it's raised up as if we've made our own stained glass, and we've soldered the metal in between each piece of glass, and then we let that dry and we fill it in with watercolors. Now you could do this tutorial with a black Sharpie to outline everything and then fill it in with watercolors. It could be colored pencils. You could outline it with a black colored pencil and then fill in all the pieces with colored pencil. You can adapt this to loads of different media, but I've done fabric paint and watercolor. So this one, again, you're going to get an outline to kind of jumpstart you. You're going to get that when you buy the ticket on our website. This one's called Seahorse and Scallops, because there's scallops here, mixed media. April 25th will be the video release date on that one. So check out the website, and there's so many tutorials on, first of all, our YouTube channel right here. Like and subscribe, and you'll be notified, when we do our live events. And then also check out our Facebook, Artist Palette Durham region, and check out our website, artistpaletedurham.com. All of the past paid events are on there as well. You're going to find loads of spring events, anything you can think of. You can just type it in the search, type in zebra, and then you're going to get all our zebra tutorials. Type in Christmas, loads of Christmas stuff. Spring, type in the word spring. Type in, what do you feel like painting? All right, our lammy. Yes, let's add more details to our lamb and our chick. I will probably be using my small brush for a lot of this next portion for small details. So I do want to start outlining him to make him more pronounced. I'm going to do sort of like a blackish, grayish outline. You could outline him with maybe a blue or a purple. It doesn't have to be black. It could be a different color. You do you. So I've got my little brush here. Maybe if you don't have a steady hand and you don't want to, mess it up, you could get a black marker. Get a black marker or a black pencil crayon, color pencil, and you could do your outline in that, if that gives you more confidence that you'll have a steadier line. So here's my black. I've got my small brush. And as I'm like outlining anything that's woolly, you want to have a little bit of a wiggly, bumpy, woolly line. So right along here, along his back, it's kind of bumpy. I made sort of his mouth and nose a little bit smoother, but then look, the ear kind of woolly and bumpy, chest woolly, bumpy. And yeah, it could be black, it could be grayish black. Bump, bump, bump. Even if your bumps here aren't as bumpy as you like, just make your line even bumpier. Just fudge it a little bit. Make him seem really woolly. You don't have to follow the paint that you already put down. Make it up. There's his bumpy back. I'll do like a bumpy thigh. Is that what we're calling this part? His thigh. It's okay that there's some purple on the orange or the yellow. There's his bumpy thigh. Bump along, yeah, anywhere that it's woolly, give him a little extra squiggles. And if you can't tell where your pencil lines are, make it up. Make it up. Or reference your outline from before. You can just have a look at it. Remind yourself where those lines were. Mine's not perfectly even at any point. I've got some thick bits. I've got some sketchy, kind of messed up bits. That's okay. No one's looking that close. They're just going to look at the beautiful colors and just the overall springiness of your painting. They're not going to focus on any mistakes. So far, I haven't done the eyes or the nose or the hoofs yet, but we'll do those in a moment. Just working on the outlines of things for now. Give them a few black ear hairs too, if you want to kind of emphasize those ear hairs. So my lamb is mostly outlined with all those squiggly wiggly lines. And look at how he's already starting to pop forward with all these sort of paler things that seem like background. They seem further away. Good. I'm going to give him some nice dark black nostrils. They could be like any shape, really, as long as they're the same as each other. Try to make your nostrils the same. So these are a little bit rounder, fatter. These ones are more of like a line, like a little flick. These are more upright, but try to make them the same. That, I think, is key. I'm going to fill in his eyes. I'm going to fill in the whole eye black, and then I'll add white highlights later. But let's say you don't have any white to add on top later. Very carefully fill the eye in black, but leave white patches of the paper visible, and that could be your highlight. But I'm just going to go ahead and do the easy thing. Color it all in black and add the white later. Nice, rich, dark black. And already he's starting to get more character, more softness. His eyes still look kind of like they're staring into my soul without the highlights, but we'll get the highlights on there soon. There we go. I also want to do a little under the eye, like the bags under his eye. Just that one in particular. Yeah, I'm starting to get more real. I'm going to do his hoofs. So again, I'm going to paint the whole hoof black, and then I'll add a little white highlight later. But if you don't have any white for later, just leave like 2 little bits of white showing on the hoof, so that'll be your highlight. But I'm just going to fill mine in fully black. Little hoof, and it could be sort of pointy or it could be more rounded. I don't even know if lambs actually do have a black hoof. Maybe theirs are more like a, maybe like a brown or maybe like a pinky color because they're, you know, just born. I don't know. Yeah, I tried to make the hoofs the same size, but it's okay if they're not the same. Yeah, we'll put some white highlights on them and they'll look shiny. Now I might, my brush is like cleaned off. I might flick some of this kind of upward so that it's like not just like a straight line. Okay, so there's one hoof that I've kind of flicked some black upward with just a clean brush. And there's the other hoof that I haven't done yet. So let me do that one. It just kind of breaks up that straight line. A little bit more natural. I don't know. You don't have to do that. Yeah, I like that. I'm also going to outline my little chickie. And do I want to give him an orange beak? It looks, so on this particular one, it looks like he has an orange beak, but weirdly, that was me flicking paint and it kind of landed there. And I'm like, oh, that kind of makes sense. He should have an orange beak. So I might just give him a little hint of orange on his beak. Let's get that in there. A little bit of orange. Let the beak dry before you outline it, but I can outline sort of the rest of him. And like the lamb, we did kind of bumpies around the lamb to make him look fleecy. I'm going to kind of do choppy brush strokes around the chick. Shorter brush strokes to make him look fluffy, feathery. Like a series of small brush strokes. Yeah, it could be a black outline. It could be maybe like an orange outline or maybe like a darker yellow outline. It doesn't have to be a black outline. And there could be like a few other little sort of brush marks, little strokes in his fur or on his wing, just to give him more texture. I might even get a little, I want a little brown or a little orange or a little something different. I'm going to go with a little brown on my brush. Give him some brownish patches on his wing. Often chicks have darker wing feathers. There's a little bit of brown on him now. Maybe a little on the side of his head. A little brown on my baby's head. I'll do his little eyes, tiniest little eyes. And again, I'm going to paint the whole eye black, and then later I'll add the white highlight. If your eye is like too tiny to paint, get a pen. Get a pen and just do that tiny little eye with a pen. Tiny little eyes. My beak is still wet. I'll do his little beak later. I can outline his little feet. Little feet, just carefully. And I'll give him like little claws, little sharp talons on this mighty bird of prey. Yeah, I mean, I've got 3 toes on this foot. I've got 4 toes on that foot. It's okay because probably his other toe is just around the other side of this lamb's head. He's kind of clutching, gripping. Give him some tiny little nails. Look, it's so tiny. Look at those little nails. Itty bitty. Do I want more texture? I think I want to put a little bit more blue in his little body. A little more texture in here. Yeah, that's good. I added a little bit more blue in his like underside there. Cute. Pardon me. Good. What else do I want? I have black going. I want to water down some black. Here's some very pale black. I want to give the lamb like a little bit more eyebrow definition. Like this one has a little bit of sort of a grayish blobs near the eyebrow. Watery black. Some brow action. Pale. And if you go like too dark, just wipe off your brush. Soak up some of it. Very subtle, a bit of an eyebrow action. I might do a little bit of that. See that bag under his eye? Might do a little bit of this very pale gray under there. And maybe a little coming down. So this is like a contour. We're contouring his snout. Pale gray. Pale black. Oh yeah, look how chiseled he looks now. Oh yeah. Lovely. And let's get some darker flowers, darker stems. Let's get some grass going. This is really coming along. And we're right on track. So I'm going to add some more. So the same colors that we were using before. So I've got some orange, I've got some blue, purple, yellow. Those same colors, but darker, more concentrated versions of that. Will I go small brush? Will I go medium brush? I might go medium brush. So all the same colors you were using before, just a darker version. These could be overlapping some that are already there. If you have any ugly spots that you don't really like, put a flower on it. So let's see, maybe I don't really like right here. Let's put a flower right there. This is kind of weird. Let's flower it up. Yeah, and you don't need like as many as you had of these ones. They could be a little less. They could be a little bit bigger, but they are certainly darker. Okay, I mean, that's a good amount. I don't want to cover up everything that I already have. That's a nice little spattering. Let's get some blue. again, the flowers could be intermixed. Orange in the blue, blue in the orange. And not too many. I think that's like a good little amount for me. So if you look at this side, I've added the darker ones. And then look at this one. Doesn't this look popping? This, it's okay. But just wait a minute, we'll fix that side too. Let's get some purple going. Again, you could add sort of like a petal look to sort of allude to the shape of the flower. Or it could just literally be blobs. Yep, one dab. To me, that's a bud. Do I want one? Couple more. Let's go. That's good. There's some purple. Let's get some yellow. Oh yeah, this one's turning out better than my first one, I think. And sometimes that's not always the case because like the first one I do, I'm not rushed and I can take my time kind of figuring things out. But yeah, sometimes the live version just hits different. Some yellow in there. Gorgeous, gorgeous. Let's get a little more stems. So we did some paler stems here and there. Well, let's make some slightly darker. And again, they could be green. Green is a very normal stem color. But what if you also threw in some blue stems, some purple stems? And again, I'm just dragging it right through. If some of the blue or some of the orange or anything gets on this, I'm not sad. I'm glad. Curvy ones, wiggly ones. Think wispy, wisp, light touch. More of a drag than a push. We're not pushing, we're dragging, wisping. Maybe a different color. Maybe some wild purple. Yes. And you decide how much is the right amount. I'm thinking that's a good amount for me. There could also be a few more leaves. What if I threw in some random purple leaves, pink leaves, green leaves? Yeah, that looks good. I'm gonna do grass, a little bit of grass down below. It's kind of covered up here. I'm gonna do sort of a medium or pale grass first. I'll let that dry a little bit and then we'll do some darker grass. I do recommend green for this part. Let's get some green. It could be like a lighter green or just waterier green. And just flick, 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 flick. Flick, flick, flick. Some of my flicks are going on the lamb. Flick, flick, flick. Flick, flick. There could be fat ones. There could be thin ones. Bent ones. Curvy ones. You could do little patches, little groups together. But definitely have some going right onto your lamb, right onto his thigh, right onto his arms, legs. Just like a lighter shade of green or just like a waterier green. I like kind of having a variety. So like have some big ones, have some small ones, have some kind of clumped together, have some spread apart, just kind of on their own. Ooh, tall ones. Some really tall ones by your lamb. It's kind of nestled in. Yeah, that's looking like he's sort of amongst the grass. So let those dry, and then we'll do some darker ones in a bit. We're getting there. We're right on track, guys. We're there. I would like to do, let's see, my little beak. Good. My beak is dry. I'm going to outline my beak really carefully with black, or I guess it could be like a darker orange, just so we can see his beak a little better. He looks a little grumpy, but if you give him a little smile, he can kind of turn up the mouth at the end. Give him like one little nostril, one little dot. He's got one tiny, tiny nostril. It's so tiny. He looks like a fierce little guy. Cute. Cute, cute, cute. What would I like to do next? I'm thinking about some splashes. It's one of my favorite parts, the just random splashes of color. Some of them landed on my lamb, but some are all over. Now, a lot of people, it's not their cup of tea. It's not their favorite look. You don't have to do the splashes. You could skip the splashes. I just like it. And you can choose how much splashes you want to do. You could do like 3 little, or you could just go wild. Go absolutely wild with 8 different colors if you want. I'm going to do probably like 3, maybe 4 colors, and I'll show you how I do that. First, move away anything that you don't want covered in paint. I'm going to move some of this, move that. I'm actually going to get rid of this. I don't want this more splash. I'm going to put that over here. Couple ways to do some splashes. What color? I'm going to demonstrate with blue so you can see it. If I chose yellow, you might not be able to see it. Let's get some blue, watery blue. Use your medium brush or your biggest brush so that your brush holds a lot of watery paint. So here is some watery blue, all loaded up. See it in there. So think of it like we could tap it like on our finger. Just tap it on the finger or tap it on another brush. You could go tap, tap, tap like this. And it's going to kind of go wherever it wants to go, but you can sort of aim it. So think about, do you want to have blue splash near the blue flowers and purple splash near the purple flowers, or do you want it kind of all over wherever it lands? I'm going to sort of focus some of my blue near my blue flowers. I'm going to tap the brush on my finger. And as it hits, see these little guys? little gentle mist. You could sort of aim it. I'm sort of condensing it right here. Let me grab some purple. Tap, tap. I'm going to show you some other techniques too. A little bit of purple. And some of it's landing on the lamb or the chick or the sky. So there's some little purpley ones. So that's one way to do it. Another way, I'm going to do orange. Get some watery orange going. Another way for a bit more random splashes, bigger splashes, splashes with more energy. You're going to just hurl your brush at the paper and stop short like you're flicking a magic wand. So I'm going to just, yeah, and you can make noises. You go, hiya, as you do it. And there's going to be like lines that are kind of wiggly. There's going to be bigger globs. And you can, again, sort of aim it, but it goes where it wants to go. And, you know, put a few on the lamb. Break that up a little bit with some splashes. Let me get some blue. No, I already did blue. Yellow. Haven't done yellow. Hurling it at the page and stopping. Put more on my lamb. What about, I've already got 4 colors. I'll do one more color, green. Gotta get some green in here. And some of these splashes are kind of blending with each other and making a new color. Love it. Okay. If there's any that you don't like the position of, like, let's say there's like a big fat glob on his face or something, you could get a tissue, you can get a bit of your paper towel, dab it, or you could even just clean off your brush, dry off your brush, and suck it up. So maybe I don't like this one that's on his face. I could just suck that up with the brush, wipe it away. There you go, it's gone. It wasn't the worst little blob in his face. I actually kind of liked it. Just put some more back in. Okay, how much is too much? Some in the sky, maybe some in the chicken. Oh yeah. Some magical spring, maybe it's like pollen or some magical dust. And then, yeah, I do have some on the table that will wipe off with like, damp rag. Just don't let it sit there too long. It might stain. All right, I'm happy with the amount of splatter I have there. Let's bring this guy back in. Cute. Let's do, so my pale grass is dry-ish, more dry. Let's add a few more grass blades that are darker. And have a look here. I've got little like clusters, little clumps, little gatherings. And I also have some grass that are like a little bit bent. Here's some bent grass blades. Here's a little bent one. They don't all have to be straight. Here's a bent one. Short ones, long ones, whatever you feel like. Fat ones, thin ones. Just a darker green. Whatever green you have, get a darker green. You could add a little blue into your green. What else could you add? Doesn't have to be green. We talked about purple grass or orange grass. Brown? Yeah, the spring, maybe the grass isn't looking so hot yet. Brown grass. Definitely have some in front of the lamb. in front of his legs, in front of his thigh. It's going to give that illusion that he's sitting amongst the grass. Do some little baby ones. Teeny tiny ones. And because these are darker, they're going to seem closer. And we're getting that nice feeling of depth. This lamb exists in an actual 3D world. Yeah, I think that's a good amount for me. I've got loads of little babies, nice tall ones. I guess I need some bent ones. They got a little bit, maybe bent in the wind. Or maybe he was walking by and kind of crushed them a little bit. Good. I like that. And then the last step, really, we're going to add some white. Some white. So I've got, again, that dollar store, super duper amazing white acrylic paint. The cheapest stuff you can get. Shake that up. I like to just use the little bit that's in the cap. There's a little perfect little bit in the cap, and I'm going to use the butt of the brush. So I'm not going to use the bristles of the brush. The rear end of the brush, dip it. So if your eyes are dry, you can do some eye highlight. So I've got the lamb's eyes are a little bit bigger, so I can do like 2 dots for a highlight. And then his little baby eye is so tiny, I just was able to do 1. But even if you just get 1 in each eye, so there's like 1 dot in the lamb's eye. Looks cute, that's fine. But if you do a second, like a teeny little, just the tiniest dot, barely touching the page, it just gives it a little twinkle in his eyes. And let's get the teeniest little dot here. It's so small. There we go. Itty bitty, tiniest little dot in his little baby chicken eye. Yeah, they look friendlier now. And then I'm just going to dot. So if you're near like a branch here, you can kind of dot near the branch as if maybe it's white flowers, or maybe it's like a pussy willow branch. Little dots. And like your first dots are kind of big, and then as you kind of dot more, they get kind of smaller, and then you got to reload. So yeah, little clusters of dots near the branches, could be like a pussy willow, and then I just kind of go wild. Dot, 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 anywhere I want, on a flower, on the background, maybe on the lamb. Maybe the lamb got some little magical spring dust on him. Dot, dot, dot. And I dot like several dots each time I load, and they get smaller and smaller. Some in the grass. Oh, can't forget his little hoofy. I might, yeah, I'll use the actual brush for his hoof. 1 highlight or 2. You could do whatever you want on the hoof. Yeah, doesn't that look like the hoof is now shiny? Shiny hoof. Okay, I'm going to keep dotting some more with the butt of this brush. Dot, dot, dot. And again, you decide how much is just the perfect amount. go. And of course, it got all over the table. What am I doing? It's everywhere. There we go. And don't forget to wipe your butt of the brush. There we go, nice and clean, so you don't reach and get a handful of white paint when you reach for the brush again. All right, I'm going to sign mine. Thin brush, yep. If you sign it in green in amongst the grass, it's kind of like blended in with the grass. I think that's a cute look. Let's get right in here. Oh yeah, do you want to put the year in there too? Let's sneak the year in here. There we go. I've got the initials. I've got the year hidden over here. Or make your signature big, you know, like this, so people know who made this masterpiece. Look at that. Yeah, different but similar. Similar vibes. I would love to see your version of this little lamb. So in the description of the video down below here, I've put, I think I put 2 links to some Facebook groups. The Watercolor Lovers by Artist Palette Durham Region Facebook group. That's great. We've got watercolors in here. And then also we have the Artist Palette Painting/Drawing Support group. And we also highlight our free events in that group down here in the description. Links to those Facebook groups, or you know, tag us, email us, direct message us. I would love to see your version of the little lamb in one of our groups or otherwise. Does anyone have any questions for me before we sign off? Again, this video will be available forever on right here on the channel. Immediately after we're done here, it'll be available. Any questions for me? Type it in that live chat or message us, email us. Love to answer your questions. I want to add some more splashes because that's just what I do. Orange, yes. I want more yellow. Yellow on this little head. Okay, I don't see any questions coming in. That's all right. I hope everyone has a lovely long weekend. Happy Easter. Enjoy some time with your friends and family. Show them your art. Maybe share the link with your family. All right, that's it for me, guys. Have a good night. Happy painting. Bye now.